One of the reasons you're not making as much progress in your life and you're not as consistent in the progress that you're making is because you're not practicing the principle of self-stalking. You're not stalking yourself. If you want to move forward as quickly as possible and you want to be as consistent as possible in your progress, you've got to embrace the principle of self-stalking. Hey, what's up, guys? Michael Anthony, CourageMatters.com. So glad you're joining me for episode 47 of the Courageous Nation podcast. Today, we're going to talk about how to stalk your way to a more successful life. How to stalk your way to a more successful life. And whether you're listening on iTunes or Spotify or you're watching on my YouTube channel, which is Michael Anthony Official, welcome aboard. I really want to encourage you to download the free resources that accompany this episode. Just check out the description and you'll see a link. There are things you'll be able to download and print out and be able to use immediately, as well as videos. Remember, the Courageous Nation podcast is all about immediate implementation. I'm going to cover things that you can immediately put into practice in your own life, and that's why it's a pleasure to be able to give you those free downloads. So make sure you check them out in the description. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure you like, you subscribe, and you hit the bell as well so you don't miss a thing. Let's talk about self-stalking. This whole principle about self-stalking. Now, when you think about stalking initially, the imagery that comes to your mind is probably not positive. But there's something we can learn about stalking that is absolutely fundamentally significant. In fact, it's crucial if you really want to crush it and you really want to move forward in your life. I assume that when you're listening or you're watching to the podcast, you are an individual who is serious about making the most of the only life you're going to have this side of forever. You're not going to be able to hit rewind. You're not going to be able to live it over again. You've got to get it right the first time. And this is one of the reasons why I get so excited about these episodes, because this is the kind of content that I wish somebody would have shared with me when I was in your situation, whether you're young or old, rich or poor, no matter what your status is, what kind of a family situation or career situation you're in. This is the kind of stuff that I wish somebody would have shared with me. And when we talk about stalking, stalking has everything to do with creating a benchmark in your life, creating a point of reference, creating a starting point that you can use as a measuring stick, a yardstick that will motivate you and help you to continue to move forward. See, one of the reasons why you run out of steam in the course of your life, one of the reasons why you lose your motivation is because you don't have a point of reference. And when you feel like you fall short and you haven't lived up to the standard that you wanted, you don't have a means of getting back on the horse. You don't have a means of encouraging yourself to realize that, hey, today ends at midnight. You got a fresh new start to begin again in the morning. This is why personal stalking yourself is so important. And you'll be able to download the free personal stalking cards in that link that I referred to in this episode description. When I was a kid, I was nearly abducted on at least 2 occasions by the same character. The third time, the police came to my house and they caught the guy. He was in the back of our house and he actually had a large sack. I was about 4 or 5 years old. I identified this guy. And when you stop and think about it, in order for this guy, and the second time he came on my street, I lived in Riverdale, New Jersey. The second time he came with a woman. They were wearing dark sunglasses. And when they opened the door, there was a revolver on the seat. And the guy actually said, "Hey, little boy, get in the car." Of course, I ran away and I escaped. But the third time they caught this guy. When you stop and think about it, in order for him and his accomplice in the second time to get to that point of actually trying to lure me and to kidnap me, they would have had to be involved in stalking me. That means they would have watched everything I was doing. They would have kept track of everything that I was doing. So they would have known when I was outside. It's really freaky when you stop and think about it. They would have known where to go to connect with me. And they would have overlooked absolutely nothing because they were successful twice in pinpointing my location. And if I was naive enough, I would have gotten into the car and we wouldn't be here right now. The idea of stalking carries negative connotations with it. But when you think about what is involved in it, you're going to understand how significant it is for your life. Remember, there are 7 areas of your life. This is the simplest way to think about it. 7 areas of your life, any goal that you want to achieve, any progress that you want to make in your life is going to be centered in one of these 7 areas. There's no exception. Relationships, spiritual life, health and fitness, finances, career, education, and rest and recreation. So pinpoint an area of your life where you want to make progress. Right now, I'm focusing on stalking myself in the area of health and fitness. And the way that I'm doing that is I'm trying to get down to an ideal, a target weight. Right now, I'm now at 188.2 pounds, and I want to get down to 182. And when I get to 182, I'm going to set a new goal, because it's not just about getting my body weight down, it's also about getting my body fat percentage down. And the way that this has turned around for me, the turning point in my life, is when I began to carry around a personal stalking card, and you can download the template that will help you do the same thing in that link that's in the description that I'm talking about here. I have it on me right now. It's in my pocket. And what I do is I literally write down everything that I eat in the course of the day. You'd be surprised. There can be a huge difference between losing weight through a caloric deficit in the course of a given day, or maintaining by eating too many calories, or by exceeding it. And listen, maybe you're trying to lose weight, maybe you're not, maybe you have. The bottom line is there is no way to lose weight. I don't care how many times you exercise, I don't care how often you exercise, if you're not in a caloric deficit. You've got to consume less calories than your body needs in order to maintain its weight. And by the way, one of the things that I included in that free download I mentioned is a calorie counter that will help you judge how many calories you need based on your age and a couple of other factors. So make sure you check that out. But no amount of exercise is going to compensate for a lack of reducing your calories. You've got to reduce your calories. So by writing down everything I take in the course of a day and estimating how many calories are involved in my morning coffee, if I have cream in it. I'm sorry, guys. I like cream in my coffee. I know you might not. If I have something later on in the day, I literally write it down. If I'm having an apple, 60 or 80 calories, depending on the size of the apple. And that helps me keep a running tally in the course of the day. Specifically, by stalking myself, I'm able to know how many calories I'm taking in, and it provides an accountability tool. Listen, all change begins with accountability. You've got to know where you are right now. You've got to know what you're doing right now. Otherwise, you're going to get foggy in the journey. You're going to lose your motivation. You're going to not be able to keep your momentum going forward. You're going to get discouraged. And most importantly, you're going to have no benchmark. You're going to have no measuring point. You're going to have no means of knowing where you are and how to make adjustments in the course of your day and the course of your week in order to move forward. So all change, if you really want to get serious about your life, if you really want to get serious, you've got to start self-stalking. You've got to start stalking yourself. And believe me, it's an eye-opening experience when you begin to see what you're actually doing in that particular area. You can do it in health and fitness in regard to counting and tracking your calories. You can do it in regard to how fat the foods are that you're eating, how fatty they are, and how nutritious they are, how much fiber they have, estimating that kind of stuff. It begins to open your eyes in amazing, amazing ways. And that's really the beginning of all change. You can do the same thing in regard to your finances. If you begin to realize, or maybe you've realized this already, that you're burning up the money that you have, and it seems like you never seem to have the money that you really need, and you look at your income and you're saying, what is going wrong here? I should have enough money. It seems like I never have enough. You need to begin to stalk yourself in regard to how you're spending your money. For example, if you spend $5 a day, pick whatever it is that you want to spend that on. Maybe it's a super souped up latte or a coffee. Maybe you spend really frugally on lunch in the course of your day, or maybe breakfast. Maybe you've got a favorite breakfast place where you can get away with breakfast maybe for $5 or close to that, not including a tip. But let's just look at $5 a day. If you spend $5 a day in the course of 10 years at an 8% interest level, just 8% interest, which is a pretty accurate interest rate, in the course of 10 years, $5 a day comes out to $27,953.20. That's what it comes down to. Now, when you stop and think about it, $27,000 in change at today's rate is actually enough in some parts of the country. It certainly is where I am. It's enough to actually provide the down payment on a rental property, which would be an income-producing property. In 10 years, guys, in 10 years. If you take $5 a day and you carry it out to 20 years, you know what it becomes? Over $90,000. And if you do it for the course of 30 years, it's almost $230,000. There's a huge increasing effect just by $5 a day, investing $5 a day at 8% interest. If you were disciplined, if you were tracking, if you were stalking yourself, you would see how you're spending money in a way that's frivolous. It's not wise. It's not intentional. It's going to come back to haunt you. It's going to come back to haunt you. So when you think of the 7 areas of life, relationships, spiritual life, health and fitness, finances, career, education, and rest and recreation, you can do this. You can stalk yourself. You can track what you're actually doing in any of those areas of life. And that's the starting point. That's the benchmark. That's the beginning. Listen, that's why this is so exciting. This is the beginning of all true, lasting, monumental change. You got to stalk yourself. That means you let nothing escape your insight. You watch everything. You keep track of everything. You don't let anything escape you. You overlook nothing at all. You see, this is not a complicated thing. But listen, the simple things in life are the most significant. The simple things in life are the most significant. They're also the easiest things to overlook. If you're overlooking the simplicity of stalking yourself, of making sure that you're watching everything, making sure that you're recording everything, making sure that you're overlooking absolutely nothing. Listen, don't lose me on this. This is your ticket. This is your secret. This is your secret to moving forward at a faster rate with greater consistency. And all you need to do is do this for one day and then recommit yourself to doing it the next day. Do it for what I refer to again and again. You hear me talk about this, your 7-day revolution. Do it for 7 days at a time. And on the 8th day, you recommit yourself to another 7 days. You will be so motivated and so absolutely blown away when you self-stalk. It will provide some fed-up fuel in the rocket ship of your success. I absolutely guarantee it. Now listen, in the beginning, you're going to get discouraged and you're going to have this eye-opening experience because you're going to realize, wow, I didn't realize that in the area of food, for example, that food that I'm eating, that drink that I'm having has so many carbohydrates. It has so many calories in it. It has so much fat in it, in the area of cream, for example. So I moved from heavy whipping cream, which is my favorite, guilty pleasure. I moved from that to regular cream to light cream. I haven't graduated from cream yet. Maybe that's in my horizon down the road, but doesn't mean you've got to deprive yourself of every guilty pleasure. That's not what it means. But it does mean, as I take it from the scriptures, when the Apostle Paul says, make the most of every opportunity because the days are evil. That means we're supposed to redeem the time. We're supposed to make the most use of our time. You might not be a believer. That's okay. I won't hold that against you. All I ask is that you don't hold my faith against me. What I'm trying to help you understand, the common ground that we should have is that time is life and life is time. And if you begin to stalk yourself, if you begin to watch everything that you're doing in any one of those 7 areas of life, take one at a time. Don't let yourself be overwhelmed. Sometimes we make such grand promises to ourselves. We try to bite on more than we can chew. That's what actually leads us to discouragement. Pick one area of life. Pick one way that you want to change. Maybe you want to reduce the amount of money that you're spending and you want to increase the amount of money that you're investing. Maybe you want to decrease your caloric intake. Remember that you cannot lose weight unless there is a caloric deficit. No matter what else you do, you're going to get frustrated. The bottom line is the simplicity of it is that you've got to take in less calories. You've got to take in less calories. And if you do that, you will begin to lose weight. And you just need to take it one day at a time. In a 7-day stretch, recommit yourself to another 7 days on the 8th day, and that's how your 7-day revolution takes place. You carry around in your pocket a paper tracker. Now, why do we use paper? Because you might say to yourself, listen, I got a smartphone too, right? I've got one, I've got an iPhone. You might say to yourself, well, I'm just going to use my iPhone, my electronic device. Here's why you don't do that. Research has proven again and again and again that you decrease deep thinking and your attention span diminishes when you use an electronic device. So you want to use paper on purpose, and you want to be able to write it down the old-fashioned way. This is a time when old school is going to give you new, fresh results. How many times have we picked up our smartphone, and before you know it, we're surfing someplace, we get distracted with a text, and we didn't follow through on the very thing that we were starting out with? By keeping in your pocket a personal stalking card and tracking it old school with paper and a pen, paper and a pencil, you're going to keep yourself focused, you're going to be able to pay attention, and that's the whole point. You are what you continually focus on. You will become what you continually focus on. You will. It's true. It's simple, and yet it is significant. Do not confuse simplicity with being insignificant. The simplest things in life are the most significant, and one of the most significant things that you can do in your life starting today. Download it. I'm giving it to you for free, along with the other resources as well. Listen, self-stalking is actually one of the most significant things you can do to set yourself free. Typically, we think about stalking being involved with, in my case, kidnapping, something oppressive, but self-stalking is one of the most significant things that you can do in your life to set yourself free. Listen, I'd love to hear how this episode helps you, how it encourages you, how you appreciate the downloads. Make sure you comment if you're watching on YouTube. And if you're listening on iTunes and you haven't yet provided a review, could you please do that? Give me a 5-star review if you could do that in good conscience with a few great words as well, because it not only fires me up and helps me know when I've hit the bullseye, it also helps the podcast get into the hearts and the lives of more and more people. Don't forget the downloads that are with the episode description, and make sure that you text the word courage to 24365. When you text the word courage to 24365, you will be among the first to know when I release a new resource, like a podcast or a video, whatever it might be, that's going to help you move from where you are to where you want to be. Thanks for joining me. This is Michael Anthony. In the meantime, reminding you, and I do mean you, to keep looking up. There's no place else worth looking, and keep moving forward.